In fact, the show was actually one of the top-rated shows among groups like the KKK, neo-Nazi groups, and racist Masonic groups, who still have lodges that say only whites are admitted. Kid you not. Yeah, these groups love the Steve Wilkos show. Along with them, the urban crowd loved the Steve Wilkos show. And people who live in, well, urban areas seem to really love the Steve Wilkos show. And interesting. You think that show brought people together for brotherly love and, you know, neighborly stuff? Nah.
Lifelong friendships were torn apart after Rachel found out that her friend Stephen may have molested her daughter. And this revelation made their other friend Angela fear for the safety of her children as well. But according to Stephen, these accusations are false, and Rachel is making up the whole story. Take a look.
As a mother, you're supposed to be able to protect your children. And it happened twice.
Stephen was our babysitter. It always has been like that. Always the babysitter. He's like our brother. He was our brother. He's our best friend.
My daughter, she said, Uncle Stephen touched me. She said she was visiting her dad at Stephen's. She was changing her clothes to put her pajamas on.
When I found out about the whole incident with Rachel's daughter, it opened up a whole new book for me. If he can do it to her, who's to say he didn't do mine? I'm petrified. I confronted Stephen, and I told him, he knows I'm a polygraph girl. He knows I know a guy. I offered it to him 3 separate occasions. First time, he got a flat tire, I understand. Second time, I couldn't get a hold of him. The third time, I got a hold of him and said, bro, come on, let's get this done. He told me he didn't have to prove to anyone. I said, yes, you do. You have to prove it to me and Rachel. You have to prove it to Vinny, Matt, all of us. You've been around our children.
Another incident happened. This time it was just over the clothes. And as soon as she told me, we went to the police station. My daughter chose him out of a picture, and they never caught up with them. After the incident, I'm still dealing with the nightmares, the bedwetting, the rages, the fits. She wakes up crying, screaming, Stephen, stop. She won't let me hug her like she used to.
Out of the blue, we get a phone call. It's from you guys about Stephen. Why are we here? Why couldn't we have settled this there? Why are we here? Why do we have to come to this? Do you need to tell us something? Do you need something to get out? Are you scared we're going to hurt you? We're not. We want to know. We want to know what we're going to have to deal with because our children are forever changed.
I want him to know that he's ruined my daughter's life. The prosecuting attorney dropped the case due to lack of evidence because they can't find him, they can't get a hold, they can't track him down. My daughter told me that what happened to her, and that it's never gonna get taken care of. She just wants it not to happen to anybody else.
Did you rape my son? Did you rape my wife? Did you molest my husband? Did you violate my children? Did you violate my grandchildren? Horrific child abuse from internal family members. Horrific child abuse based on race. You got any good news? In fact, 97% of his shows deal with child abuse, spousal abuse, child molestation, rape, murder, infidelity. And did I mention rape? Because there's like a whole lot of rape on his show. Steve's like doing this the most, meaning Steve Wilkos and his producers aim the show at these topics. You think they're helping? They're not. They're exploiting. But yeah, we are to think, he's helping, right? But it is clearly an exploitation show. I mean, without rape, how would that show even exist? Think about it. Without all of this crap that I just named to you, how would this show exist? Now, if it was really helping people, then it would still exist. But it doesn't help people. It just makes fun of and exploit a situation for the audience to go, ooh. The other 3% of the episodes feature persons freely admitting crimes and being escorted to jail. Also, many of those shows were fake. There is also a social media movement called Exposing Steve Wilkos, which appears on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And some things were very interesting with that. So here's the thing about it. One statement spoke about Steve Wilkos and his lie detector examiner named Dan Ribicoff as being abusers behind the scenes and frauds. Dan has a particular reputation for backstabbing the persons he does the lie detector test with. And he's also believed to have backstabbed so many guests that he often changes his name on social media in order to avoid, headaches. The group also exposed that Steve Wilkos liked to cheat on his third wife, Rachelle, who was also the executive producer of his show. Interesting enough, his first two wives left him for the same reason. The second one stated that allegedly she got tired of competing with teenagers. She said that about Steve Wilkos. In fact, another shocking matter is that allegedly Steve's polygraph man, his lie detector test man, he's accused of encouraging rape and abuse against others. And he even had to go to court over it. Why? So that he can have substance for the show. He actually caused several persons to nearly kill themselves for real by accusing them of lying with a machine that could be rigged or beaten, or it is also known to make mistakes. So there were people telling the truth, and they were told they were lying. Told live on national television they were lying. Or their episode was going to be aired later, and they're told they're lying. And even though they weren't. Some of them knew it was a completely fake show, and they were told they were going to do it this way, but they decided to go another way and turn them into liars right there on the show and embarrass and humiliate them. In 2021, Dan had to be removed from the show after several tests revealed what most people said about Steve and Dan, that they were bigots and racists. Also, Dan was also a member of Scientology. You gotta be kidding me. It was that people that taught him how to use a lie detector machine. So the Scientologists, the International Occult Group, taught him how to use a lie detector machine, and he used those same methods with the guests on the Steve Wilkos show.
I mean, it's the constant pop-ups, the constant phone calls. How are you going to get any work done if you're on the phone?
My wife's always calling me while I'm doing the show, and I have to be like, stop calling me. Do you believe that?
No. She works with you. How does she?
That's her right there.
Yeah.
But see, like, she'll tap at me while I'm doing the show.
Right.
She's always like trying to give me stuff.
Well, at least it's good stuff.
That is true.
I knew he was telling the truth.
Right. She's putting me in a bad way. See?
It didn't hurt you. You're a big guy. She didn't do anything. I didn't see nothing.
She's... Oh, man. TNA. See, you're getting me in trouble. All right.
And secondly, when you're married, that's not, no one's the boss. You have a partnership.
No, that's
you
not.
do what you want.
Come on.
It
There's
is.
always a boss.
Yeah.
Mine's sitting right over there, so I But, you know...
My marriage is 51-49. And she's got the 50.
So it might as well be 99-1. That's all that means. You know, like a lot of issues were getting to me on the show. Like we deal with a lot of child molestation and really hard cases. Yesterday we did a show about this little kid that, you know, the father broke the 2-month-old baby's ribs. And the baby ended up dying.
That's
and it's just,
so hard
you know,
to have to...
so we get heavy at times. And so it's like everybody's talking to me and they want their problem solved. And I didn't even realize it. Well,
you don't got nobody to talk to.
Right. Like, you know, like everybody, like who's going to help me, man?
I always
you
say
know?
that. Who does the go-to person go to?
So, yes.
And she's the one that actually encouraged him to do this show because his show would appeal to a mainstream audience. And the mainstream audience of that time, or in that time frame of hours of watching television in the daytime, was basically ruled by women. A lot of women stayed home and watched television. You know, I guess I don't really want to talk about that. But anyway, women of mainstream fandom, and this is what was shown in studies. Women of mainstream fandom like arguments, they like drama, they like people intimidating other people. And so she coached Steve to berate, scare, and frighten his guests, especially male guests. Many of them mostly being portrayed as urban minorities or white town or country folks. And believe me, this was not done by accident, but purposefully done. The show was designed to take people and stereotype them by what they called an urban market, and then denigrate and demean those persons in order to make the hosts and the audience to look good while making others to look bad. Steve, did they teach you that in Lane Tech? You know, did they teach you that? You know, you're better than other people. You know, when you see other people that are not like you should demean them, degrade them. You should turn your back on them and make fun of them. You should, like, wait till they're alone and then see what they got and take it and then tell them it's their fault. That's what you should do. Well, maybe they didn't teach you that in Lane Tech. Someone taught you that. Maybe it was this woman. No, actually, you were already like that. That's why she recruited you. But look at that understanding. Look at how stupid that is. First, they're trying to tell you they're promoting the show to help people. But what they're actually doing is using a certain market. So they want a female audience, and this is like the worldly female audience. This isn't like females who really love God. If they say they do, they're not reading the Bible. But according to their demographic, this audience likes arguments, drama, and people intimidating other people. They like people starting with other people. They like people getting into the face and business and rumor and gossip of other people. And thus, she wanted to make a show where there would be a centralized person who would ringmaster this whole entire thing. And not just ringmaster it, but he would be intimidating. That he would start yelling at people who are portrayed as urban minorities and also portrayed as what they call country folks. So that's to say poor white people. So that's to say, you know, people that, you know, they want to sit there and objectify. You know, like if they live in a trailer, they qualify for going on the Steve Wilkos show. And they only qualify because they want the worst type of behavior out of them. I mean, I don't want to understand how people work and grow, and where they live doesn't matter. It's about how they work, how they live, how they raise their families. He doesn't care about that. He's not showing those folks. No, what he's actually showing is, well, people who are willing to act as ignorant and as, well, degrading as they possibly can, or to take a story and make it degrading. And thus, he is actually objectifying people in a stereotypical way in order to scream and yell at them and make his audience happy. When the Steve Wilkos show aired in 2007, unfortunately, it is still on the air. He is watched by 1 million or so persons a week. Most of that audience are women ages 25 to 54 years old. The episodes of the Steve Wilkos show, like Jerry Springer, are not always real. Many times the shows are fake. Also, there is a reason why lie detectors are not accepted in court. And this show even reinforces even more why they are not acceptable in court. Because they can easily be rigged or beaten. So remember, his whole show is about lie detector tests. You know, everyone's got to take one, you know. And if you don't pass that thing, he's going to get right in your face and want to start screaming and yelling, you know. And you can't have a gun. You can't have an equalizer. You got to sit there and take this crap from him. He might even get you arrested because the stupid lie detector test, he also correlates that with Chicago police or any authority that is there. And there's a reason why they're not admissible in court. This is why you don't take a lie detector test, because they can be rigged or they can be beaten or they're fallible. They can make a mistake. And if it makes a mistake, it immediately is going to say you're lying. And people like playing games with machines like this in order to mess with people. And this is what was notoriously done in this show. Other many episodes of the show is real, but you notice what the real topics are. So they got fake shows, they got real shows. Sometime in the mid-1990s, producers for an NBC show called Jerry Springer were having lots of fights due to the type of programming they were having. The show wanted security guards, and thus they sought police officers like Steve, along with several others, were the first hired. And in time, Steve became a known face on the show. What was he known for? For scaring guests. That's pretty much it. Yeah, he was known for scaring unruly guests to the point the audience started to refer to him by his first name. In fact, a lot of these episodes are even fake. He's like berating people that are acting. Some are acting, some weren't. In time, he became Jerry's bodyguard on the show and began telling his co-workers he could also get them a job on the show, which he did. So I'm notorious about those type of connections. Steve began working on the show in 1994, and by 1999 to 2000, his face was just as known as Jerry's. For some reason, which makes no sense, all he did was break up fights, and he didn't resolve anything. But this is what he got famous for. He just got famous for screaming and yelling and intimidating people. And you get famous for talent, you know. It's like he didn't have like an incredible theological mind or some kind of like, charity thing where he was helping saving urban people from gangs and crime. And, it wasn't like he was out there teaching kids how to actually work and do things. And he just used to sit back and say, my daddy taught me this, and your daddy taught me that I needed to send you to jail. He used to say things like that. What a nice guy, By 2001, Steve, although was still employed as a cop, he oddly also stuck to working at NBC Studios in Chicago as head of security for some dumb reason. And by 2004, he retired and works, solely for NBC full-time, even though he was a full-time there since 2001. Before Steve got his own show, he received some training as a professional wrestler and even worked a few gigs for the Maryland Championship Wrestling. When Jerry was thinking about a temporary replacement so he can go dance with the stars, Steve filled in, taking the place in 2006, where thus he was the substitute co-host of the Jerry Springer Show. And by 2007, NBC Universal Television, they were the ones who gave him his own show. Steve's show was supposed to be some kind of family-orientated show about helping people. This is how the show was actually written down on paper and how it was actually promoted to people. Let me tell you about it. Steve Wilkos had 2 failed marriages. I think I can understand why they failed. Maybe that alleged story could be true. And his third one took place in 2000, and his third wife happened to be the executive producer of Jerry Springer. She is also the EP of the Steve Wilkos Show. That is the real reason he got his own show. And she even coached him on how to host it and to appeal to women. So Steve Wilkos was a woman who was working in Hollywood who was involved in a lot of the feminism groups. So she was the one who actually got him the show. If people cannot see what kind of bigot Steve Wilkos is, I really don't know what's wrong with him, to be honest with you. The people who like him must be like him. You know, like the people who are really fans of him, they must have something about themselves that says they're pretty bigoted too. Steve have called his guest based on little or no evidence or based on a phony lie detector test from a so-called, well, not even a real expert who's an occult member himself, known for being a racist liar, the following words. This is what Steve has actually called guests on his show. Pigs, whores, sluts, tramps, crackheads, crack whores, jerks, punks, dipsh, you know the word, ass, you know the word, female dogs, but he doesn't use, uses the other word, and et cetera, and et cetera. These are all racially motivated, discriminating, bigoted, prejudiced remarks you can use toward people. They're demeaning remarks. But this professional uses those words in order to describe his guests, who many of them are either doing a fake show or a real show, but ultimately are not being helped in any situation.